Erica, can you please do a roll call and announce staff who are present and provide instructions for online listeners to participate, please?
Sure. Chair Silva,
Here.
Vice Chair Latassa,
Here.
Commissioner Bluth,
Here.
Commissioner Freeman, Commissioner Palmer,
Here.
Commissioner Pauly,
Here.
and Commissioner Stoker.
Here.
And our staff members present today are our Planning Manager, Levi Hill, Principal Planner, Fernanda Roveri, Senior Associate Planner, Chris Schmidt, and myself, Recording Secretary, Erica Barrera. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at monterey.gov/agendas. Remote commenters will be muted until it's their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you're connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Thank you, Erica. We'll start by opening up the consent agenda, and we have 4 items, and I will start by item number 2, approval of minutes. If there's anybody in chambers or online that may have comments regarding the minutes for the last hearing, you may speak.
So Chair, I may recommend just going ahead and taking all the consent items as one item or one action and then opening up to the public to see if anyone would like to remove an item.
That's why I wanted to split it because Terry wasn't here and it might have a different vote than on the other 3 items.
So if Terry's still able to participate in the vote on the minutes if he'd like to. And so, but okay. So then we can take it all.
Okay, very good. So let's just do this holistically. So if there's any member of the public in the chambers or online that wishes to speak towards the 4 items on the consent agenda, you may do so. Anybody online?
There are no attendees online.
Thank you. We'll bring this back to the commission. Do we have any comments?
I'd like to move approval of the consent agenda, all 4 items.
Do I hear a second?
Yes, a second.
So we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Stoker, second by Commissioner Freeman to approve the 4 items on the consent agenda.
Okay, Chair Silva,
Yes.
Vice Chair Latassa,
Yes.
Commissioner Bluth,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman,
Yeah.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Pauly,
Yes.
Commissioner Stoker.
Yes.
Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Did,
Those items, other than the minutes, those items are appealable to the city council with forms available in the planning office and online. That is 10 days appeal period from today.
thank you.
Now we'll open up general public comments. If there's anybody in chambers or online that wishes to speak to the Planning Commission regarding an item that is not on today's agenda, you may do so. Seeing nobody in chambers online.
No attendees online.
Okay, very good. We will close the general public comments and open up our first public appearance item. 2298 Prescott Avenue. Architectural Review Permit Application ARP 25-0028 and Tree Removal Permit Application ART 25-0250 for the demolition of an existing single-family dwelling, construction of a new 2-story single-family dwelling, and removal of 1 tree. Applicant Christo Stadler, Eric Miller Architects, owner FTK Real Estate LLC, residential single-family zoning, low-density residential general plan designation, exempt from CEQA. Chris, would you do the honors, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair Silva. My name is Chris Schmidt. I'm a senior associate planner for the city of Monterey, and I've been working with the project applicant on this project. So yes, we're looking at a new single-family dwelling and a tree removal. There's an existing dwelling at this site that is also being proposed for removal to make way for the new dwelling. So the staff recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving the architectural review permit and the tree removal permit. Just a bit of background about the site. It is zoned R15, has a low density residential general plan designation, and it is a 75 by 100 foot lot at 7,500 square feet. And as you can see on the image on the right, it's located at the corner of Jesse Street and Prescott Avenue, which is in the upper part of New Monterey neighborhood. So again, the project involves demolition of the existing approximately 1,400 square foot single family dwelling and construction of a 3,092 square foot single family dwelling. The proposed dwelling has approximately 1,800 square feet at the first floor and it also includes a 250 square foot garage. And at the second story is approximately 1,000 square feet. And again, one tree is proposed. That's a Monterey pine tree. And so here you can see the site plan of the proposal. Again, as I noted, it is located at the corner of Prescott and Jesse Street. You can see here that the siding of the building is proposed away from the corner side as well as the front yard, which is required by the city's zoning ordinance. Corner lots generally have greater setbacks than interior lots. And here we see the first floor plan, which is the ground level floor. It includes 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, laundry, a living room, kitchen, dining room, a tiled deck that does include a water feature. It's noted as a reflection pool here, as well as a small seating area below, and a 1-car garage with an adjacent exterior but covered parking space. And at the second floor, oh, excuse me, I wrote ground level again, but it is the second floor. And it includes the primary master bedroom, closets and storage, a bathroom, an office, a multi-purpose room, a sitting area at the top of the stair here, and an exterior deck. And here I'm showing the landscape plan for the site. I'll just note there's a variety of drought tolerant species, as well as a number of different types of tree plantings, all different types of maples. I think there's 6 new trees proposed, with the removal of the tree that I noted being located here due to its proximity to the proposed structure. The applicant also did provide an arborist report where the arborist found that the tree was in declining health. I will note I've also circled here 3 trees that would be proposed to remain. I believe there's an oak here at the bottom right, another pine, and then 2 other pines here. And then there was a pine that was removed here. It was dead, so it had been removed a few years ago. So starting with the elevations, here's the front elevation. You can see the garage door here on the left with that other covered parking space here next to it. And to highlight some of the features, you can see at the main floor, you've got this is the window to the living room with a vaulted ceiling at about, I think it's about 15 or so feet in height on the interior. There's the second level deck that's accessible from the master bedroom and the multi-purpose room. And just looking at the exterior materials, and I do have a slide that talks about those materials, but we see a mix of wood texture materials, cement fiber siding, and kind of, I'll show the color scheme, but it's proposed in this muted and natural kind of tones to fit in with the forested environment. Here's the rear elevation, and you can see that deck serving the second story on the right. The water feature is located here, with access to the kitchen and dining room here. And then it does step down to a seating area below that deck area. Here's the side elevation. This is the south side that faces Jesse Street. This would be the primary view from Jesse Street and Prescott Avenue, not Jesse Street. This would be the primary view from the neighborhood across the street and the other side view, the north side. So here we see the colors and materials, and it's admitted it's a bit tough to read, but as you can see, there's a variety of different colors and textures of different types of siding, including a darker textured wood for some of the trim features, a lighter textured wood, and these are composite woods, I believe, as well as cement siding features. The railings are proposed to be a metallic, like a silver metallic color. And then some of the other features, windows and doors, are to match in terms of the color scheme, a bit darker to provide a little bit more visibility and differentiation from the lighter colors from the siding and cement siding. The applicant did provide a number of renderings. So this is from the Prescott Avenue perspective. And the Jesse Street perspective. Here is the tree that is proposed for removal. And as I mentioned, the project arborist did find this tree to be in declining health, and staff concurred with that finding. After the installation of the story poles, there was a view impact that had been identified. The neighbors did contact staff and provided photos. And so staff here has shown an estimate of what this view cone is. This is kind of just the view of the bay here. Interestingly, this is something that I did, and the project architect attempted to see if there was any sort of view. It's really hard to see from the sidewalk, but the neighbors did invite me into their home, and I did confirm that this is a photo that I took where you could see the bay in the background there. So there would be an impact from the project. Just worth noting, this structure here is the existing structure at the lot. There's kind of a hodgepodge of different styled roof lines here. And you can see this gable here is, just high enough to kind of reach the horizon of the bay there. So this is on the right. This is a graphic that was added to your staff report. The project applicant did include in this site plan the footprint of the existing structure in red, as well as you can see the proposed with the black outline. And then I overlaid that estimated view cone there. And then what's not shown in the staff report is highlighted here, the orange. This is basically the setback requirement. And I added that to this aerial here. So the intent here is to show what the development footprint is, what's permitted at this site in terms of allowed development. And this would help inform the Planning Commission as to what sort of changes, if necessary, if requested by the Planning Commission, could really be made to try to preserve some of that view. So in order to approve the architectural review permit, the Planning Commission has to make 4 findings. The first is that the proposed siding, form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate. Staff made this finding as outlined in the staff report. The stepped mass and articulated roof lines, as well as modulation, reduce the bulk at the corner. This contemporary style includes a wood texture siding and muted tones that are compatible with the homes in the neighborhood and the forested environments. Staff was able to make that finding. The next finding is that the views, privacy, and living environment are not unreasonably impaired. Staff will note that there was an impact identified in looking at the development standards for the site, the aerial and site plan that I just shown, as well as some of those views, including looking at those existing structures on site. Staff found that other compliant developments at this location would have a similar impact, even if the existing structures that are there on site were moved back to actually comply with the setback requirement, you could see that gable would impact that view. And those structures at the front of the lot along the Jesse Street frontage are located almost near the front lot line, and are currently non-conforming with respect to the required front yard setback, which is generally going to be 15 feet to your main structure and 20 feet to the garage. So staff found that similar designs would, similar development, even single-story development would have a similar impact. In addition, the proposal does comply with and exceeds some of the minimum setback requirements, including the corner side yard setback, which has less of an impact, but does impact the allowed development footprint, as well as the rear setback requirement, which is the requirement in the code is 20 feet. The proposal here, what they're proposing today is 26 feet. The next finding is that the project is consistent with city plans and applicable design guidelines. As I noted at the beginning of the presentation, the project site is designated with the low density general plan land use designation. So this project is consistent with that single family land use. It's also consistent with the single family design guidelines and new Monterey area plan policies, which the staff did go into a bit more detail in the staff report. I could certainly talk about those if you have any other questions. And then the last finding relating to the architectural review permit is the exterior finish, colors, materials, and all other exterior features are appropriate for the site, the neighborhood, and the city. Staff was able to make this finding. They use a mix of durable materials, muted and natural color palette, with wood-like and cement siding. The dark window frames and doors provide a bit of it allows for a more visual interest. There are metal railings that are appropriate and compatible with the proposed materials. There's minimal exterior lighting and drought tolerant plantings. Staff was able to make that finding. As for the tree removal permit, the tree ordinance does permit removal of trees for reasonable development. In the case, staff was able to make that finding. Due to the declining health of the tree, as well as the project footprint does comply with all setback standards, staff was able to make that finding. So with that, staff recommends approval of the architectural review permit and tree removal permit. I'm available for questions. The project applicant is here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was an excellent report. Questions for Chris?
I have a question. Thanks, Chris. When you went in the neighbor's house and looked at the view impact, were you able to see if there were any other views that exist from that neighbor's lot?
I only viewed this view was taken from their kitchen. I had asked them if there were other similar views. They said there were not. So I didn't go much further than the kitchen.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, Chris. Given that the front of this house is on Jesse Street and not Prescott, is there a mechanism should the applicant wish to do an address change?
Address changes are done through our building department. I think they can do that. I'm not sure. It's a good question.
It is. I mean, if I were a guest and I didn't know where this was, and I had to use like Google Maps or whatever, it would just take me to Prescott, and I would park my car on Prescott, and where's the front door?
Sure.
It's just a little confusing. So, any more questions?
Just curious, since I'm a newer commissioner, why do we have corner lots that have stricter setback requirements? Is that for pedestrian and traffic safety typically?
Yeah, it softens the corner a bit in terms of visibility at the street corner. Exactly. Yeah.
One quick question, Chris. I'm looking at the house across the street and the fenestration on that house. Are those clear story windows, or do you actually stand in the kitchen and look out through those windows?
Yeah, no, they're normal windows. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Would the applicant like to provide a brief presentation?
Hello, my name's Christo Stedler. I represent Eric Miller Architects. I'm the lead designer there. I've been working with Chris and the planning department for a couple years to provide a project for my client that meets, her family's requirements and hopefully brings, a new quality piece of architecture to to New Monterey. So I'd like to give a brief presentation. You could go to the next slide, Chris. Yeah, so our project is a two-story residence, and to try to blend it into the urban environment, the single-story homes that directly surround it, Chris in his staff report pointed out very well that we stepped down these masses to try to harmonize with the topography, and bring it down to a 1 or 1.5 story height when you're met with the project on the neighborhood, which is Jesse Street. So this project in particular, I was worried that the story poles might scare some people. The story poles are depicted by depicting the eaves and not the exterior walls. So this project has some deep overhangs. The upper roof deck has a kind of trellis shade structure that extends far out. And the garage also has a covered kind of carport that makes the building look a little bit more massive than it will be. You could go next twice. There we go. So I just wanted to show some transitions between the staking, the story poles, and what the project will really look like. Because there's a lot of architectural moves and articulation and transparency that the story poles don't tell the whole story of. So you could press next. Yeah, so here you see that transition. It might look really bulky on Jesse Street when you look at just the netting. But you could see that we pushed the second story as far back as possible, so that, it's not domineering over the neighborhood community. Yeah, like you're good. Yeah, so this is looking at the corner of Prescott, looking at the living room mass. And what we did is like I mentioned, we pushed the second store back really far. And then we have boxed eaves. So if you press next, you'll see that, neighbors walking around the Jesse Street neighborhood won't even really perceive that second story from a lot of angles. Yeah, we can move to the next. So here, looking from Prescott Street, once again, I would drive by and say, what is this big box? But there's a lot of interesting movement and material changes happening underneath that rectangular roof line. You could press next. So you see recesses and protrusions and, the second story overhangs the first so that there's area for a lot of beautiful landscaping, Japanese maples and cherry trees. We worked hard to preserve the kind of landmark oak tree that's in the back. Yeah, you could press next. So regarding the view, as architects and designers, we always hate to try to take someone's view, and it was hard to really see that they had a view, being a single story house on the other side of the street around the same elevation as our project. But as Chris put together, the view cone cuts right through the center of our site. So if you look at the kind of diagram I've outlined in blue, the area that would be kind of the only area that we could develop if we try to, preserve that landmark oak, preserve that view, we'd be stuck with an unreasonable amount of development space. If you look at the staking picture that was provided by Chris, taken from the neighbor's view, as Chris mentioned, if we were, just for metaphorical sake, to take the building that's there, which is a very small single-family residence, and if we just moved it back into conformance, you could press next. You see, if we move it back out of the setback, that view, unfortunately, is lost anyways. So we feel like any reasonable development there is going to obstruct that view. So moving on to neighborhood character, it's the last slide. I actually had the privilege of living 10 houses down from this project while designing it. So I would explore the neighborhood, and I took some photos of homes that looked like they had real intent to their design. A lot of them were in the mid-century modern style. You see some flat roofs, some window walls, some large masses, wood siding, and then you see our image in the bottom right. And we feel like our design is a contemporary nod to that kind of architecture that could be found tucked away in the neighborhood. Next. So yeah, in conclusion, our goal is to build a residence for our client. Her sister lives next door. She has plans to sit up on that roof deck and, drink tea with their sister and live there, the rest of her life. At Eric Miller Architects, we hope to provide a benchmark for the quality that New Monterey deserves. We want to build this really well, and we're really excited that we have a client who wants to invest in a property. And really, she spent 2 or 3 years making sure this fits into the community and fits her lifestyle. So we're excited to bring a project of this caliber to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Christo. Any questions for the applicant? I have one question, and it's more out of curiosity, but you have a parametric louvered screen that seems to be a prominent design feature at
Yes.
the front of the house. And when I was looking at this, I couldn't help but wonder, how do you clean the windows behind that screen?
That's later's problems, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
they have these liquid window washing fluids that you can get at like home, and you attach it to a garden hose and you can spray it. And I think that's probably the only way you're going to get these windows clean.
I'll pass that along to the client.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Any questions for Christo? Thank you very much, Christo.
Thank you.
If there's anybody in chambers that wishes to speak before this application, please state your name.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Arlene Hardenstein, and I live across the street at 2281 Prescott Avenue in New Monterey. So I am directly across the street. Chris did visit our home, and it impacts our view 100%. I want to begin by saying that I support thoughtful reinvestment in our neighborhood and understand that homeowners have the right to improve their properties. But my concern with the current proposal is the significant impact it has on our property and its existing ocean view that we have enjoyed for many years. In Monterey, ocean views are an important part of our coastal character and are considered a shared community resource. So the proposed height and mass of this rebuild eliminates our view in a way that may be avoidable through thoughtful design adjustments, such as stepping back upper levels, modifying roof lines, or redistributing building volume. I'd also like to note that this project would result in a complete and permanent loss of our ocean view, even if we were to build a second story in the future. The current design of the structure would still block any view that we would have. This is why sensitivity at this stage of the process is so important. I'm not asking that the project be denied. In fact, I'm happy that there's going to be a new build there across the street. But I would respectfully ask that the commission consider whether a redesign could better balance the homeowner's goals with neighborhood compatibility and established view corridors. So this project enhances the community rather than create conflict. Thank you for your time and consideration of protecting Monterey's unique coastal character for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody online, Erica?
There are no hands raised.
We will close the public appearance item and bring this back to the commission. Comments? Dave?
I hate these. I do. I understand losing a view is frustrating. But I also agree with the staff's opinion that developing this site within our rules, no matter what, is going to force a loss of that view unless we say you only get to use half of your lot. And I don't think that we're in the position to do that. But I hate this because they've had their view for a long time, very nicely spoken, thank you. But so I hate these. How's that?
Very good. Justin?
Yeah, I agree with David on this one. And I looked at the sections and the elevations on there to see if there was 12-foot plate heights or something like that, but they're reasonably designed. And I think it's particularly having worked on these corner lots and knowing the more stringent setbacks, it is a challenge to get any sort of house that is able to max out its square footage and not do a second story. So I feel bad for the neighbor because I think when we typically approach these things, we do ask the question, have they lost the totality of their view? And then we try to find another piece of view that is available. And in this case, they have a legit beef with the project because it is the totality of their view that they've lost. But I think for us to shoot down the project based on that, given the constraints of the site, would be very difficult. And as much as I'm said about the view, I'll say that Eric's office has presented a very nice design for the neighborhood and for the city. And, we see a lot of residential design come through here that isn't nearly as thoughtful as this. And I think you guys should be commended because I think you're right in pointing out that the flagging isn't telling the whole story of that building. There is modulation in the facade. There's a sensitive use of materials. It's a well-designed structure and it's rather handsome from the street.
Yes, I agree with Justin and David. I think we're kind of, this is a new world where the Planning Commission is acting as the ARC now on these kind of projects. And so the view consideration is always really important, but I agree, I don't really see any reasonable way to ask this applicant to redesign to preserve this view. And it is a really well-designed project. It's going to be a very handsome house and a nice addition to New Monterey. I do agree with that. Eric?
Yeah, I concur with my fellow commissioners here. I think the really impactful photo is seeing it as it is today. So this will be a major upgrade to the entire neighborhood. I definitely, I sympathize with the neighbor. These are hard, challenging decisions to make. I too have a small sliver of ocean that I get to look at, but understand that properties in front of me may come up with the design at some point. So I do try to take those considerations seriously. Thank you.
Agree with everything. This new project is properly sited on the lot, beautifully designed. And like you said, a benchmark for the neighborhood. And it is a shame that the view is so impacted, but it doesn't take away from the quality of the project itself.
Yeah, I think I agree with all the commissioners on this project, and I think Dave hit it. I mean, it's a tough decision, and I really do sympathize with the person across the street who's gonna lose her view. I think Chris really was able to drive home our situation in that even a one-story house is gonna impact on the view. And so in this particular case, I just don't see any other option other than just to support the development as it is. It's a beautiful building. I just wish we could figure out ways where, we could keep everybody happy. My bigger worry is, when we find that there's multiple neighbors, you end up having a view issue. And I think we need to address that in a meaningful. But this case certainly looks like we should support it as is.
I
Can I make
concur,
a motion?
I concur with the other commissioners' comments. I think the most compelling part of the presentation by the applicant was the slide where the existing house moved back to conforming to zoning. And even when you did that, just this modest one-story home with relatively flattish roofs, I mean, they weren't steep pitch roofs, would block the view. I mean, if that house were built according to zoning when it was built, it would have blocked the view. So that view is really a blessing all these years for the neighbor to enjoy. Unfortunately, for the neighbor, these are the difficult decisions that planning commissioners like us have to make. But I think that in this case, we do have prescribed zoning, building height, setback, floor area ratios, and all of the numerical objectives that this project meets. And it goes beyond just meeting the objectives. It's actually a stellar design. And hands off to Christo here for all the effort he put into this. I think it's going to be a real asset to the neighborhood. And I think that Monterey should be proud to have projects such as this come before us. So those are my comments. Would someone like to make a motion?
I will support the staff report and the 5 findings for approval and with the standard conditions of approval as attached to the staff report.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Stoker and a second by Commissioner Palmer. Can we get a roll call vote, please, Erica?
Sure, Chair Silva,
Yes.
Vice Chair Latassa,
Yes.
Commissioner Bluth,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman, Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Polly,
Yes.
Commissioner Stoker.
Yes.
Okay, that's been approved. The decision is appealable to the City Council within 10 days. We have applications online or in our planning office.
Thank you very much and congratulations. Very, very nice project. Okay, so that wraps up our public appearance item, and we will turn now to commissioner comments.
Can I whine about that building downtown that used to be ordered away? Is that legal to just basically strip a building, throw a bunch of junky plywood tables in and throw a bunch of used things in there? Do we need permits for that? This is the first building on our downtown street.
Totally agree.
It's horrifying. It's embarrassing. Have I said enough?
Keep going. So essentially it's a retail use, which is permitted in the downtown specific plan. Hear your concerns. There was some, I believe there were some issues relating to the building department and some work that was being done there. And I believe they've been either red tagged or received a stop work order to address those concerns, which were the health and safety concerns associated with our building permits. However, as far as the actual use itself, our downtown specific plan doesn't dive that far into the details of retail and what is able to be sold and not sold under that umbrella of retail uses. So to answer your question, retail is a permitted use in the downtown specific plan, specifically that site. And there's some signage there. I believe they're within compliance with their signage as well for window signage because it has quite expansive windows. So
Do you know, has the city, with the red tag, has the city spoken with the building owner? Is that like an itinerant use to
There-
sort of fill in?
it's our understanding that that's the case. We have had conversations with the building owner, and that is our understanding that this is an operator that was moved from a different location when their existing lease ended elsewhere, and was able to move their operation into that vacant space for the time being. But it's my understanding they're continuing to look for a more permanent uses for that space. And I believe there's also an architectural review application for that building as well to convert the upstairs portion to residences as well. So I think that will be coming before this commission at some point as well.
Any other comments?
Whoever prepared these reports, they're so educational. The one about the fast food non-conform, the food service on the Wave Street location was so needed. All they could sell was canned drinks and coffee. And now they're able to, sell more prepared foods, but just getting around the zoning requirements. It's really educational reading the reports. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think the fast food use classification can scare people when you see that notice, but it's kind of a harmless, akin to like a Chipotle type thing. So anyway.
On that one, and it may have been in the report, but so are the food trucks going to go like in front of the house up on the street? Are the food trucks going to pull up behind the building on the rec trail?
So good question. So that was a use permit that was approved by the Planning Commission in 2023, I believe. They would park on the Wave Street frontage, either I think on their driveway is where they would be.
Their frontage being, because I consider like
Upstairs.
upstairs, yeah. So
Yeah.
like normally the crowds gather sort of downstairs.
Correct.
Somewhat detached from where the food trucks would be.
Correct.
Just a comment on that. I was on planning commission when that business went in there originally and you were a child. And the comments back then were we wanted nothing to face the rec trail, which made zero sense to me because the rec trail really is a major Monterey street for those of us who want to talk later about bicycles going fast. But as it's developed, it has related more and more to the rec trail, which I think is fabulous. Because again, for those of us who use it almost every day, that connection, but getting vehicles, things like that on the rec trail isn't going to happen to be able to do food truck type stuff. But again, it's interesting that I'm seeing this because that was 25 years ago or something.
In the land use plan or something, there's a, they don't want signage facing it, and there's all these sort of weird, like, I don't know what the whole intention of that was.
Well, we should look at that at some point because again, the rec trail is a major thoroughfare for us all. And we should look at the leftover things from when the rec trail was first opened up. And again, there was no signage. No, you weren't supposed to access your business off the rec trail. Again, all these things that make no sense, that it would be really good to look at again because it is a street. It's a pedestrian street. It's a mall.
And if I might add, I can give some context. The council at the time, particularly Councilmember Vreeland, who was a third grade teacher around the same time, really wanted to protect the recreation trail as an asset to the residents and the community and make it not a commercial thoroughfare. So I understand, I hear you. But that's what the view was at the time was, let's not commercialize this corridor.
But we might want to look at it again because again, what is it really used as? And I think it's a fabulous asset to the city.
It reminded me of, I lived in Santa Cruz for many years.
And it reminds me of the way in which Front Street, which is the first street that parallels the San Lorenzo River, and all of the buildings, all of the retail, all the commercial had their backs to the river and their frontage on the street. And it just was such a shame. And you look at places like San Antonio, Texas, where it's the reverse, where, you know, they have the beautiful river walk and it activates the whole commercial core district by having all of the retail and commercial being very transparent with the river. So interesting how there's differences of thoughts about this. And it seemed probably at the time a good idea, but, you know, 25 years later, after living with it like that, maybe not so much.
When we see the success of the outdoor dining in downtown Monterey and how much livelier that made downtown right after that. So
Right.
similar ideas like what they're doing with they have a cafe there, you know, Trailside Cafe. I don't know if it's still called that, but busy all the time. Great to people watch.
Okay.
Makes the rec trail safer too.
I would think so.
More eyes on the street,
Yeah.
people are gonna feel safer walking it.
It's funny, I worked with the company that got that kind of unfortunate building approved where the cafe is. But we had to promise no access to the rec trail. It's just, there's gonna be a wall there and everybody's gonna come in off Wave Street. It was a heartfelt promise. It was made.
Where does everybody line up?
Yeah.
On the rec trail.
Let's see, on another topic, are there going to be any absences for the next planning commission hearing? Nope. Okay.
I believe is that the 24th? Yes, it's my daughter's winter break.
Very good. Levi.
Yes, that's
information
an absence, or yes, you'll be here.
That's absence.
Okay.
Information reports?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So just a very brief recap from City Council's February 3rd meeting. In case you weren't paying attention, they did announce that we will be receiving a new city manager, Dante G. Hall. So expected to start at the beginning of April. So it's pretty exciting transitional period for the city. And then also tentatively scheduled for our next planning commission meeting, which I'm now seeing is incorrect here, is actually just our NCIP consistency analysis. So you may recall that our CIP and NCIP projects for the year come before the commission each year for consistency with the general plan and any other adopted city plans. So we'll be bringing that forward for the commission's review and approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Levi. All right, with that, meeting adjourned.